Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hogue, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
Hi, I'm AJ Hogue, the author of Effortless English, Learn to Speak English Like a Native, and the father of the Effortless English system that teaches you to speak English powerfully, speak English fluently, speak English confidently, think in English, speak English effortlessly. When you commit to my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com. That's effortlessenglishclub.com. Go there, effortlessenglishclub.com. Join and commit to my VIP program. Training. You've got to train your English. Of course, 1 day's not enough. 1 month's not enough. You've got to commit. Welcome. We are live on Facebook. Of course, the recording I will put on the blog at effortlessenglishclub.com. I always record the shows. They will go to the blog. So if you missed the live show, no worries. Also, the audio of the show is always put on the podcast as well. We have people joining live right now from lots of different countries. I'll read a few of them. India, Poland, Morocco, Algeria, Sudan, Ukraine, Iraq, Angola, that's the first time, I think. Somalia, Azerbaijan, Brazil, Iran, the Philippines, Vietnam, Russia and France, Myanmar, lots and lots. Welcome to all of you. Philippines again, Italia, Italy in English, Sweden, India. Great, fantastic. Hungary. Welcome to you all. Italy again. Ooh, lots of people. India, Laos, Ethiopia, Brazil again. All right, so basically everywhere. And Los Angeles, which is kind of its own. Georgia, the country of Georgia. I'm from the state of Georgia. Okay, let's start, guys. We are moving on. It's our book club, as usual, for our live show. We are still doing the book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The writer, Stephen Covey. So we're learning how to be effective people. What does that mean? Effective, it means you get the results you want. Right? Kind of the idea of successful, really. Similar. Effective means you have a goal and you achieve the goal. You are effective. So Stephen Covey's teaching us, he calls them habits. You might call them strategies is another good word. Methods even. For getting what you want in life. Right? Most people want success. They want to get good results. They want to achieve goals. And I think most of all, finally, people want to live happy, meaningful lives. I mean, that's really the most effective life, I'd say, is a happy and meaningful life. A life with a feeling of purpose and that's filled with happiness. All right, so why don't we begin? We are now on habit number 4. We are starting habit number 4. I'm going to begin now. As usual, I'll do the questions and comments afterwards. Think win-win. Habit number 4. The title is Think Win-Win. What does that mean? Let's talk about it. Okay. We are now moving into the section where we're dealing with other people. Remember, the first 3 habits were about being independent habits, right? They're about how to be, have a good, strong person, how to have good character, how to have personal success, right? Your personal goals, your personal success, to be a good person inside, to be a strong person. So it's about being independent. It's the first step, to be an adult. You have to be independent. Take care of yourself. Be a good, strong individual. But that's not enough in life, of course. We are social humans, right? Most animals, I won't say all, but most animals, especially more intelligent animals, are social in some way, right? That it's impossible to live all alone completely by yourself. Very, very tough and probably impossible, really. You always need something from other people. And certainly in most of our life and most things that we want and do in life, definitely, we have to. We have to have other people. We've got to work with other people. We also just emotionally, we need other people, right? We need love. We need family. We need connections. We need to belong. We need to feel we belong to a group. We need a people, right? Our people. You might call it your tribe. It's one word a lot of people use. They call it tribe, T-R-I-B-E, tribe. So tribe is is kind of like your big family. It's your family plus your allies, right? Your close friends and others. Some people you might use the word community. At the biggest level, your nation. But we need this. Absolutely. You cannot go alone in life. It's a little easier now because of all the technology we have, but still, if you are alone, most people will feel very, very, very lonely. Feel like their life has no meaning without other people. And also, just for anything you want to succeed in life, you need other people. If you want money, you need other people. You absolutely must get other people if you want to make money, right? If you have a business, you need customers, at least. Even if you have a business alone, just you, well, you still need customers. You need other people to buy from you. Probably for most businesses, you need to work with other people also. They might be employees. They might be people that do work for you. And of course, family is all about other people, not just you. So as we move into this, he's talking about now, how do we deal with other people? All right. And so he's talking about dealing with our businesses, families, and other relationships. Positive, healthy relationships, right? That means the connection, the cooperation between people. And specifically your people, right? So we should talk about this first. This chapter is about your people, working with your people. This chapter is about cooperation. That's what win-win means. Win-win is a way, it's a goal, it's a mindset for cooperation, working with people, not against them. Now we'll see later, you don't use this with everybody. This strategy, win-win, it's for your people, your business, your family, your friends, your allies, right? People you work with. It's not for your enemies. It's not for your competition. With your competition, with your enemies, with other outsiders, you probably have a different strategy. Maybe you want to beat them, okay? Probably you do. But this is for your own group. It's about cooperation. That's what win-win means. It means everyone in the group wins, right? In your family, win-win means that every member of the family is happy. Every member of the family, they feel they win. They're successful. They're loved. And then he gives a long list here. I'll highlight it on the screen. So we have win-win, we have win-lose, lose-win, lose-lose, win, win-win, or no deal. These are different just ways of thinking about dealing with other people. All right, let's talk about the first one, win-win. Win-win. This is about mutual benefit. It means when you are in a group and you have a win-win mindset, a win-win strategy, It means you want everyone in the group to win. It means everyone in the group benefits. It's about cooperation. It means you're trying to find a method, a solution, actions that help everybody in the group. Everybody in the group is important, so everybody needs to benefit, right? You're not going to use one person and make them lose, make them feel bad so that you can win just because you're stronger. I think it's very obvious if we think about families. Families our first and our most important group. So you can imagine if you have a family, right? Husband and wife and children, just the basic family unit. You want everybody in the family to be happy. You want everyone in the family to benefit, to be healthy, to succeed, to feel loved, right? You don't want one child, you don't want them to feel bad and to fail and treat them badly and everybody uses them so that you can feel better. That's terrible. That's evil, right? We all can see this clearly in a family. So you've got to find a way so that everyone in the family has the most possible happiness and success and love and everything else, right? That's win-win. That's what he means, win-win. Now, you also want this in a business. If you own a business, imagine you have a business and you have employees working for you. Well, you don't want, right? You know, the bad way, the kind of, I would say, evil way of doing business is you use your employees and you treat them really badly and you yell. In fact, I just had this experience. I went to a coffee shop. I was on vacation in Guam. I went to a coffee shop and I got coffee. I sat down. I was sitting at a table. And while I was sitting there, the manager, maybe he was the owner, I don't know, but he was the boss. The boss came in and he was yelling at this girl who was an employee. She made some mistake. I don't know what she did, but nothing big. But it was terrible. He was really, really, really mean. He was insulting her. He was constantly saying mean things. He wasn't helping her in any way. He was just feeling powerful, the big boss, and making her feel like a loser, terrible. She started to cry. And he said, "Go take your break, leave." And then she walked out and she was crying. Right? That's terrible. That's the next one, win, lose. He felt like winning, right? I've got this power. I'm the boss. I'm the owner. I've got all this power. I win. And she loses, right? Because she's below me. Right? So in the short term, maybe that's effective for him, right? He scares her. He makes her feel bad. He's the big man. Feels really powerful. But long term, it's no good because she's probably going to quit. I was thinking myself, I'm like, why doesn't she quit? She should just quit now. This is terrible. I'm guessing she'll look for another job and leave as fast as possible. She's not going to probably improve. She feels terrible. It's not really good for the whole business, right? The whole business does not benefit because now you have an employee who's really unhappy. And if they're really unhappy, they're not motivated. They're not going to do their best. So in the long run, that kind of leadership is bad for the business because all the employees become unhappy and they don't want to do any work really. If the boss is around, maybe they pretend, right, to do work, but when the boss leaves, as soon as the boss leaves, everyone's just going to say, I don't want to do anything. They're not happy. They're not motivated. It's not good for the business. So what he's saying is win-win in that situation, that coffee shop. Win-win means the business succeeds at the highest level. It means the employee is happy and motivated and loves their job and loves working there. And it means the boss is also happy and getting good results. That's win-win. Everybody wins. The business succeeds. It's profitable. The boss succeeds because the boss is getting the results, the necessary results for the business and is respected. And the employees, all of them, also succeed. They are happy to be there. They're motivated. They love working there. They work hard and they enjoy it. And they also get respect. Everybody has their place. Everybody's benefiting. It's win-win-win, right? That's what he means. That's win-win. The next one, he talks about win-lose, which is what I just described. Right? That's when one person on the team, one person on your team, they get to feel great, they get good benefits, they succeed, but then others feel terrible and others lose. Others are treated badly. That's win-lose, right? Some win and some lose. He says that, academic world, the world of school, is win-lose. This is true, right? Because the whole idea of grading A, B, C, D, F, it's all designed to make the children compete against each other. Some win and others lose. They fail. And it's all about competition, right? All the students are competing against each other, right? In schools, no cooperation. He says cooperation is associated with cheating, right? If you help another student, that's called cheating in school, right? If a successful student tries to help an unsuccessful student, they call that cheating. Can't do that. Oh, you're cheating on the test. You're cheating on your homework. That's not good. No cooperation. No. You're all individuals. You're all separate. You cannot help each other. That's the mindset of school. It destroys teamwork. This is why our whole societies now are breaking apart. Nobody will help others. Everybody wants to compete. Even inside families now, our families are breaking apart. Our nations are being destroyed. Our communities destroyed. Not good. School is part of that, and so is the media. Now, on the other hand, win-lose is sometimes exactly what you need to do. It's exactly the right mindset. Win. How do you know win? When do you need cooperation and help? When do you want to fight and compete? Well, it depends, right? Inside your group, you want cooperation and teamwork. You want win-win. With outside your group, then maybe you have competition. Maybe you want to win and they lose. Again, sports is the obvious example, right? If you're playing a soccer match on a soccer team, inside your team, you want help, right? Cooperation, teamwork. But in a game against the other team, well, you want competition. You want to win. You want them to lose. Of course, that's what a soccer game is. So when you're competing, when you're going against outsiders, when you're going against enemies, well, then definitely you want to win, and definitely you want them to lose. You try to beat them. So it says it's not about, right? It depends on the situation. It depends on who you're dealing with. If it's win-win, cooperation, or win-lose, competition. Just depends on the situation. You have to know when's the right time. So a lot of competition inside your group is not good. But against outside groups, yeah, sometimes it is. In business too, you have to compete against other businesses. You have competitors. Definitely. So he mentions, for example, in a soccer game, or in business, or even in politics, then you're going to fight. You're competing. You want to win. You want them to lose. But in a marriage, if you're married, it's crazy. Who wins in your marriage? Husband or wife? That's a crazy idea. It's a crazy question. Well, both should win, right? If you have a good marriage for a long time, both must win. Both must benefit. Both must be happy. If one becomes unhappy and is losing all the time, the marriage is going to break. Okay, next. The next one is lose-win. Lose-win. What does he mean by that? Basically, lose-win means you decide to lose. You quit. You let the other team win. You let the other person win. You decide to lose. It's basically being weak. For example, you say, oh, I'm a loser. I've always been a loser. Or I'm a peacemaker. I just want peace. I don't want to fight. So you can do what you want. You can win. This mindset is weak. This is a victim mindset. This is when you say you have no expectations. You have no discipline. You have no strength. You just want to please everybody. You just want peace all the time. You're afraid, basically. You're a coward. You won't fight. You won't fight for yourself. You won't fight for your group. It means being nice, right? It means always being nice. Nice guys finish last. I'd say the better way to say that is nice and weak guys finish last. Sometimes you can't be nice. Just like I said, if you have enemies, if you're competing, you don't want to be nice. You don't want to lose. You don't just let them win. No. This is the victim mentality, the coward mentality, the weak mentality. Not good. So that's also not a good one. Lose-lose. Lose-lose is when you just, this is even worse. Maybe. Lose-lose is when basically you're unhappy, you decide to lose, and then you don't want anyone else to win. You think you're a victim, so you want everybody to be a victim. You think you are a loser, you want everyone to be a loser. You're unhappy, so you want everyone to be unhappy. This is lose-lose. It's like the professional victim. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible way to live. Don't do it. So again, then he says, which one is best? So it depends on the situation. Sometimes you want competition. You want to beat the other person or team or group. Sometimes inside your own group, you want cooperation, win-win. Finally, there's the last one he talks about is win-win or no deal. And this is a good way it's a good mindset for your group, inside your own group, your own team. Basically, you have two choices. You say, okay, everybody wins inside our group. Everybody benefits somehow. Everybody cooperates. Or no deal, or we don't do anything. So he says, this is a good way. It creates more freedom, less stress. Because sometimes you can't agree, right? And like even in a family, sometimes you cannot agree. Sometimes you cannot find a way that everybody's happy, that everybody agrees. So what do? You just no deal. You just say, okay, fine. We just disagree. We'll just do something different. We don't have to always agree. Sometimes it's not possible to find win-win, so no deal. We just don't do anything. We'll do something else. So he says when you have no deal, when that's a choice, it's a possibility, no deal at all, nothing, then you feel liberated. You feel free. There's no pressure then. So then he gives like a very simple example of this. Imagine a family, and just a very small example. You have a family, and children and mom and dad, and you decide it's movie night. You're going to watch a movie together. Time to watch a video together. But then you cannot agree. You can't decide which movie. Dad wants to watch a, action movie. Mom wants a romance, and the kids want something else. So you talk and you try to find a movie everyone wants to see. But you can't. You can't make a deal. There's no deal. Nobody agrees. So what do? Well, then you just he says, decide no deal, no movie. We'll just do something else. We won't watch a movie tonight. We can all everyone choose a book and read, or do whatever, right? Or we'll go to dinner, or we'll go outside, or we'll play a game, right? You just decide, you just do something else. You don't force a deal. You don't force one person to be unhappy. You don't decide, well, we will watch this movie. One person will hate it, so it doesn't matter. You don't do that. You just say no deal, right? You try to find a deal. Everyone's happy. Everyone agrees. But if you can't, then you just say, no deal, let's do something else. So it does take off pressure, right? Because the truth is sometimes you can't agree. Even in a close team, a close family, sometimes it's hard to find a deal. So you just say, it's okay, no deal. We don't have to have a deal. We can do something else. No, just relax. And that's a nice strategy, I think. It's actually it does create some freedom. All right, next, moving on. He talks about, okay, for win-win, for cooperation, what do you need? How can you make this work in your group? So he says what you need 5 things for this cooperation with your group, your friends, your allies, your family, right? Your people. 1, you need character. We've talked about this a lot, especially on my podcast, my audio podcast. We've been talking about character a lot. You could call this virtue also. So this means you need integrity. Integrity means that you're honest, you're truthful, you're virtuous, you have good virtues. You're a good person, basically, right? It means you need everybody in your group to be a good person. If you have someone in your group who's a liar, who cheats and lies, they don't have character, they don't have integrity, they're not good, then you can't cooperate. You can't you can't cooperate with someone like that. If someone's a liar or a cheater, or they're not loyal, they're going to, attack you or stab you in the back or something. You can't have this. You cannot have cooperation. You cannot have a good relationship with someone like that. So this is requirement number 1. Everyone needs to have good character. You need good people. Cooperation only works with good people. If you have someone who's bad, you have to get rid of them, kick them out of your group. Number 2, you need maturity. Maturity means it's the ability to, number 1, to express, to communicate your feelings and ideas, but at the same time to also listen to and respect other people's ideas and feelings. So it's that balance of the two. You're not a wimp, you're not silent, but you also are respectful of the people in your group. The next one he says is abundance mentality. Abundance mentality instead of a scarcity mentality. So this is the idea that there's enough, there's a lot, there's plenty, there's enough for everybody. So it's the idea that there's enough love for everybody, there's enough money for everybody in our group, there's enough of everything, right? You don't need to steal from each other, right? It's a scarcity mentality. You think there's not enough, then everybody will try to compete to try to get the money or get the power or get whatever. But if there's a feeling of abundance, there's enough for everyone in our group, then you can cooperate. Okay. And then, of course, trust. Trust, which we talked about in the last show. This is the big one. He called it the emotional bank account, right? The trust, the amount of trust in the relationships within your group. If the trust is low, again, you can't cooperate really. Because then you can maybe make a deal, you can maybe compromise, but then you have to constantly check the other people. You can't really trust them, so it's very hard to cooperate. So you need high trust in your group for cooperation. You can see this nationally. You can see this happening in different countries around the world. It's happening in my own country, the United States. When I was younger, America was a high trust country, right? It was mostly a very unified one group of people. Now you've got all these people from all different places. No, people do not trust each other. So now no one can cooperate. Now everybody's trying to fight, to compete, to beat each other because there's no trust. So you have to have high trust. That's true for a nation, for a country. It's true for a business. It's true for your family. It's true for a team. You have to trust each other. Very, very, very important. Okay, Tomoy, could you bring me a couple of vitamin C? Okay, next, agreements. He talks about if you have trust, then the next thing you want to do is, for cooperation, another technique is to make agreements. You can write down things. Everyone in the group will agree. How do you make a good agreement? It's like a contract. How do you do it? So he says, number one, you want to figure out the results. Decide, what result do you want? Number two, you need guidelines. These are kind of like principles or rules. Everybody agrees to follow the same rules inside your group. So everyone agrees we're all trying to get the same result for the group. We all agree to follow the same rules inside the group. Thank you. Resources. You identify, what are the strengths? What are the strong points in our group? How can we use them? Accountability. This means that you check. Everyone agrees to do something. Then you have to check. You have to make sure. It means responsibility. Responsibility. It means in your group, if you agree to do something, then you really do it. Right? This is so you can find the lazy people who don't do what they say they're going to do and maybe get rid of them. And finally, consequences. Consequences, good or bad things that happen, right? If you follow the agreements, then you get rewarded, right? Good things happen to you when you help the group, when you do what you're supposed to do. If you don't, if you're lazy, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, if you don't help the group, then bad consequences, bad things happen. Maybe you get less money if it's a business. Maybe you get fired, something like that. You have to have consequences or people will just become lazy. And remember, again, Stephen Covey, the writer, he was a business guy. He was a business consultant. So sometimes, he has good ideas, but sometimes he's very focused on business. So, as I'm teaching you these ideas, I'm trying to make them more general. So that, because I know most of you probably are not managing businesses. Even for me, my business is super small. So I think these ideas are more powerful for family, for politics, for your community. Okay, finally, the final point, I think it's the final point, is that you need systems, right? You need an organized system for cooperation. It's not enough just to have an idea. Let's cooperate. Yes, win-win. Everybody benefits. You actually need systems, organized habits, ways of doing things, rules, so that when people cooperate, they get rewarded, good things happen. And when people do not cooperate in your group, bad things happen. This is the same for sports. Sports is a good example. If let's say you're a coach, you're the coach of a soccer team. So you want to encourage, your team must work together. Okay, if you have a superstar, if you have one guy, he's the best. He's super, super, super good. Right? That's great, but he still must work with the team. If he works against the team, if he's selfish all the time, he's going to hurt your team. So you have to have a system to reward cooperation, good teamwork, and you need a system to punish bad teamwork. And that means, sometimes bad coaches, they don't do this. But good coaches, even with a superstar, they'll punish them. If the superstar's selfish, his ego gets too big, he's hurting the team, they will punish him. Maybe they make him sit during the game. He can't play. Or maybe they just get rid of him. They send him to a different team. Very important. Okay, finally, again, he kind of comes back to the point that remember that all of this is for your group, your people, For your people, win-win. For your people, cooperation. But also in life, you have competition with outside people, with outside groups, with other teams. That's when you compete, right? So you have to, don't try to use this with your enemies, okay? That's crazy, okay? They're trying to beat you, destroy you. You do not cooperate with them. You don't help them. You try to beat them, okay? This cooperation, this win-win, it's for your group, your people. You have to know when to use cooperation and when to use competition. Again, you do not cooperate in a soccer game. Don't cooperate with the other team. You don't help the other team. You don't make a deal with the other team. You don't win-win with the other team. No, you beat them, okay? You must beat them, okay? It's inside your own team. That's where you want win-win. That's where you need cooperation. Okay, and then he gives a little example back to the systems again, that if you have a bad system, even if people are good, if the system's bad, bad things will happen. Kind of like that coffee shop example, right? That girl. She might be a good person. She might be a very good worker. I don't know, but maybe. But she's in a bad system. So even if she tries to do a good job, he's going to yell at her and be mean, the boss. So she's not going to try. Right? Why will she try? She doesn't want to, because anything she does, he's going to be mean. So it's a bad system. It's a bad system, therefore bad results. So you need good people, that's character. You also need good systems so that the good people can do good things. And that's the end. All righty. Okay, we'll come back to this. Time for questions and comments, your questions and comments live. While you're writing some questions and comments, I'll make a few comments myself. I think, so I guess a summary of this would be, number one, to have good teams, good groups, good relationships. You need this win-win mindset. And one problem we have in society, I'd say, in all of our society now, is we have this exactly backwards. Exactly. If you watch the media and you look at schools, we have it exactly backwards. In the media, in the schools, they're trying to teach us to compete with our family, compete with our friends, compete with our own people. And at the same time, they tell us to cooperate and welcome outsiders, our enemies. They want us to be nice to our enemies, nice to outsiders, nice to others, but they want us to fight against our own people. That's why we're becoming weak. That's why people are so lonely. That's why we have so many problems. But that's the goal of globalism, right? Globalism, the global banks who own the global media and our governments. That's what they're doing us. That's how they're destroying us. They're making us fight against our own people, but then not fight against our enemies and outsiders. That's the problem. And it's a huge problem, and it's destroying us. And we have to change it. So Stephen Covey is giving us the opposite teaching. He's saying that it's inside with your own people, you must cooperate. You must help each other. Win-win. Everybody wins. Everyone has their own part to play. We can see this in, I like sports because it's so clear, very clear. On a team, everybody on the team must benefit, right? Everybody on the team is important. They have their own important part. They're not equal, but they're important, right? Yes, the star, he's the best player, okay? But, the guy who's the replacement, he sits on the bench, he comes in maybe later in the game. He's still important. He has a very important part to play. You still must take care of him. He must also feel respected. He must also feel important. If it's a professional team, you must pay him still, right? Everybody on the team is important. Everyone cooperates. It's win, 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 win. Everybody benefits. So the whole team is strong and the whole team wins. On the other hand, when they play a game, the other team, you don't help them, right? You don't help the other team. You don't cooperate with the other team. You don't want the other team to win. You're trying to beat them. That's competition. That's very clear in sports, but that's the same with our, in all our groups. It's a very clear way to think about it. I think Stephen Covey described it quite well. And then finally, he just talks about this needs to be organized. That's what he means when he says systems. You need to have organized rules and methods and systems to create this cooperation, this strong teamwork in your group. That's what good coaches do in soccer. They get their whole team working together. That's why sometimes some teams can beat other teams, even if the other team has better players, right? Sometimes you have a team of superstars. You'll see this like in American baseball, for example. American baseball. This is the New York Yankees. You'll see this sometimes where they have a lot of money. They buy all the best players. So they should be the best team, but they're not. They don't win. They don't become the champions. Some other team wins. They become the champion. The other team, individually, their players maybe not as good, but they work together better. They try harder, more effort. They have better training. They're a better team. Of course, you see this in all sports. You can see this in soccer. You can see this in American football. Of course, you want each player to be the best, but you must have this great teamwork. Very important. All right, let's go to the comments and questions, so shall we? Just back up in the comments a little bit. Okay, Farshid. Let's add to broadcast. Okay, Farshid. Hey, hello. School is exactly like a small society. In school, the students that will afterwards become people in a bigger society, they've learned to obey the people in power. They're constantly taught not to help each other. If they do, they get known as cruel people. Cheaters, right? Then the school becomes a bigger society and finally makes a country. Well, you're exactly right. That is exactly what it is. I often say, the media, the fake news, it's just the adult version of school, right? It's in school where the damage is really done, this training you're talking about. And then when people become adults, the media takes over, and then the media continues these messages. But you're exactly right. We're taught to be separate and alone, not to cooperate, not to be loyal to our own people. That's what school, one of the big messages of school. Okay, Alexander. My chief sticks win. I don't care about you all. Yeah, right. Sometimes there are bad bosses like I've worked for bosses like that many times when I was younger, and it's no fun, right? Maybe some of you have that experience too when you work in a company and the boss, they just care about themselves, right? Their own power, win just for themselves to win. But everybody else, they don't care. Everybody else can lose. It's terrible when you're an employee in that kind of group. It's miserable, so unhappy. Your whole life becomes unhappy when you have to, be in that situation. It's terrible. Okay, let's see. Luisa. Louisa, what about your daily podcasts? Have you stopped recording them? No, not at all. I was on vacation for a couple weeks, and so I did some when I was on vacation, but not daily. But now I'm back to doing not every day, but many days. I probably do, I don't know, 4 to 5 audio podcasts every week. So get my audio podcast. Just get a podcasting app. Any podcast addict or any of those, and then just search for my podcast, Effortless English Podcast, and subscribe. iTunes, it's on iTunes also, and you can get it. It's free, of course. Louisa with another comment. I can't get rid of lazy coworkers, right? Now, this is the other side. So we talked about it's really terrible to have a boss who's not win-win. That's sucks, right? It's a terrible situation. But I've also had this situation. This is also terrible, to be on a team where some members of the team are lazy. They're not helping. They're not trying, right? So you have to work, and then they're not trying to work for the whole team. That's also not win-win, and it's terrible. It's no fun to be on that. Why? It destroys the whole team. This is why the coach or the manager or the boss has to get rid of those people, because they will destroy the whole team. So that's also part. Everybody is important on the team, and therefore, everybody on the team must contribute. Everyone on the team has an important job to do. So you must have a system so that if they don't do that, they get punished or they get kicked out. Okay, moving on down. Let's see. Okay, Rafiqul says, good evening, coach. Win-win sees life as a cooperative arena, not competitive. Win-win is a frame of mind and heart that seeks mutual benefit in all human interactions. Win-win means agreements or solutions are mutually beneficial. I'm watching your show from a hostel in India. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's exactly right. The only thing I would change about that is all human interactions, because as we have been discussing, some human interactions, some human relationships are competitive. Some of them are. You do have to compete sometimes in some situations. It's just you have to know when, right? So this is why it's important to know who are your people. Who are your people? Who is on your team? And who's not? It's very important to know this, because this decides, do you cooperate or do you compete? Okay, another one person who's got looks like some problems at work. Success is in the interest of the whole team. Yes, we need to cooperate effectively, but there are people in my company who don't want to share their knowledge with others. Yeah, that sucks. They want to be indispensable, means can't get rid of them. They're necessary. They want to have unique knowledge, special knowledge about internal processes, how things are done. They're not eager to share this with others. It's not good for the team or overall efficiency. This is from, how to pronounce her name? Wasjek Was. Right. This is a problem. And this is a problem of systems, right? This is what Stephen Covey was saying, right? That means that in your company, there's not a good system, because there needs to be a system so this doesn't happen. Because, right, these people are doing this for power. If they have some special knowledge, if only they know how to do something, right? Only I can do this. Well, then they feel more safe in their job. They can't get fired so easily, right? Because, the company needs me. Only I can do this. So they don't want to share the knowledge with others to help the team. So this means either they're selfish or they're scared. I'm not sure which one, depends. But if they're just bad people, if they're selfish, they should be fired. You just have to fire them anyway. But maybe they're just scared. Maybe they don't feel, they're worried about their job in the company, and they're worried the company will get rid of them. So they're just trying to protect themselves. If that's the situation, that's the problem of the systems in the company. It means the company is not doing a good job. It's not rewarding them. The company needs to reward them for sharing, right? There needs to be a system so that when you help others in the company, when you teach other people in the company, you get a benefit. Maybe more money, maybe better positions. Also just, lots of, compliments and all of that together. And also there should be systems where if you don't teach, if you don't help, then you get punished. Maybe your job, you get moved to a lower job, or you get stuck in one job. Maybe they cut your pay or reduce your pay. All these kind of things, right? This is where you have to create systems to reward the cooperation and the teaching. And you have to do this, or else it won't happen. And that's the job of the bosses and the managers and the owners. Okay, let's see. Here's another one from Louisa. Boy, Louisa, sounds like you're having trouble at work. My boss doesn't protect me. He wants to please the competitors. Well, that's insane, right? This is insane. But a lot of weak people will do this. We're being taught, school and media is trying to program us to do this, to be weak to our competitors, to be weak to our enemies. When someone's competing, that's the time to fight, not the time to be nice, right? There's a time in life to be nice and cooperate with your people. And there's a time in life to fight and struggle and not be nice. That's against your competitors and your enemies. Doesn't mean you do things that are evil or immoral, not moral. But it means you fight and you're tough. You gotta know there's a time in life for each. And so it's crazy to try to be nice to your enemies and then not be nice to your friends and family. That's crazy. That's weakness. That's being a victim. It's disgusting. That's also being not loyal. Okay, Emmanuel. Hi, dear coach. Life has always been a fight for us. If we really want to get something, we need to have our mind set on something and make it big, because our mindset is part of our achievement, part and parcel of our achievement. Right, exactly. You're correct. I like your spirit, AJ. Thank you. Okay, yes. So, another long name. Ramachandra Reddy. Kambam. Hi, AJ. You're right. We shouldn't be selfish while we are in a team. We should be there for our team, as we're all playing for the game. But in society, we have to think about ourselves because we have different types of people who play their own games. Right. Well, I would say think about your team. You have a team mindset, right? So when you're dealing with things like politics, it can become competition sometimes. And then it depends, right? With your family. Right. Sometimes you got to fight for your family. That means sometimes you got to fight against somebody. If there's a group or people or a person trying to hurt your family in some way, physically or in another way, you fight them. And you fight to win. And you want them to lose. You want to destroy them even. That's necessary. Okay, it's necessary. So this is not about being a victim. It doesn't mean, we're always nice. And even if someone's bad to us, even if someone attacks us, we cooperate, win-win. No. This is why you have to know your own, who are your people, right? Your people is, of course, your family and your close friends, and then your allies, and maybe it's even your whole nation. Or in some nations, in some countries, that are broken up. They're not, Japanese people, for example, are quite like this. And one of the things I love about Japan, there's an idea in Japan that it's the Japanese nation, that we're all one people. We are one people. We are all Japanese. So they're it's a higher trust, right? They cooperate much better. Of course, they have some competition in business and stuff, but in general, the Japanese have the mindset, like in politics, for example, that we are one people. We're on the same team. Now, in America, that's not true anymore. We have too many people who've come from too many places, and so Americans do not think that way. You have now huge numbers, very large numbers of people in America, citizens and non-citizens, both, who hate America, who think that they're against America. They're on a different team. So you can't cooperate with them. They're enemies now. And this is true. There are many different countries now in the world where this is also true, where it's not one people. You've got several people. And so you have to decide, right? I'm not going to tell you who your people are. You have to decide this yourself. And you can decide at the small level, certainly your family and close friends, and maybe some others in your community. And then you have to decide at the large level, in general, in a big way, who are your people, your nation, your people that you will fight for, and that you will cooperate with and help. We all have to decide this. But this is about being clear. So then you don't cooperate with people who want to hurt you. You don't cooperate with people who want to hurt your team. But inside your team, you absolutely must cooperate, right? Inside your team, your group, your people, you must win-win or no deal. You have to take care of each other. This is about taking care of each other. So we can't be selfish. We've got this society now of individuals, everybody being selfish, just me. My parents' generation, their nickname is the me generation. And, a lot of people criticize them because of that, because they just focused on themselves only, not all of them, but in general, they were quite selfish. And this has caused a lot of problems. So it's not just me. It's us. That's what he's saying. That's what win-win means. That's what team mindset means. Any good team, especially any great team in sports, they have a we mentality, an us mentality. You'll see it in American football right now. The Super Bowl they're playing the Super Bowl, the big championship game. Is it this weekend? Next weekend? I can't remember. Anyway, the Patriots is one of the teams. The Patriots are the best team generally for the last, 15 years. They don't win every year, but they are in the championship game so many times. They've won so many times. Overall, they're clearly the best team. And they are super focused on teamwork. They're famous. Team, not me. Even their superstar player, their number one big guy, he makes the most money. He always talks about us. We. Team. He doesn't talk about himself. He doesn't talk about his own personal record, his own personal achievements, his own personal success. He does not talk about that. He always talks about the team. You'll notice when he's talking to the media, he's always team. And that's because of their coach. Their coach is focused on team. If someone joins their team, if they're selfish, he will get rid of them very quickly. He's famous for this. He cuts them and they're gone. Or he trades them. So that's why they're so great. It's because of that super strong teamwork mentality. Here's Nasser says, most people want to be win-win, but then they work for their own good. All this is back to government, schools, and media. They're working together, working against people to divide us. That's right. They're trying to divide us. The best way to control people is make them individuals. You're weak alone. Alone, you're weak. Even if you're great, even if you're super smart and rich, alone, you're weak compared to a team, right? I mean, again, look at sports. One soccer player against 11. They're going to lose. Even if this one soccer player is super good, they're going to lose against 11 other people. You're weak alone. You need other people. We need other people. We need teams. We need family. We need community. We need our nations even. If we're all divided up into lonely, selfish individuals, then the bankers, the big, super huge companies, the super rich, easy for them to control us. And that's what they're doing. That's why they do it. That's how they control billions of people. All right. Good point. Maxim, talking about the recent World Cup. Not so recent, but the last World Cup. A good example of a team in football is the Iceland team. You remember them? The motivated team from a tiny country reached the quarterfinals. Yes, that is a perfect example. Not a team of superstars, right? Iceland was definitely not a team of superstars. They did not have a lot of, super top professionals on their team. They were an excellent team, though. They worked together. Everybody working for the team, cooperating very well. And they did very well. For such a tiny country, it was amazing how well they did. Very strong team. Good example. That's an interesting saying. I've heard one comment that an army of sheep governed by a lion will beat the army of lions governed by a sheep. That's interesting, right? It's kind of, again, about teamwork. And this is really about leadership, what Vladislav is saying, that if you have a strong leader, a great coach, and a group that will cooperate, right? He creates that cooperation. He creates those systems, and they cooperate very well together. They will win, even if they're not individually. Maybe they're not so strong, but because of the strong competition and because that leader is so strong and powerful, they will win against another team. Maybe the other team, the individuals are quite strong, but the leader, the system, the teamwork is weak. It's a nice saying. It's a nice way to say it. Interesting. But yes, that's the idea. This is an excellent point. Vince Akos. A good example are the Marines. And this is really true, I think, of most excellent military groups. They ostracize the ones who don't want to cooperate during the trainings until they realize they cannot make it themselves. Right. Ostracize means put them outside of the group. This is exactly right. You can look at some documentaries on YouTube about military training, especially top units like Navy SEALs, the Marines. I'm sure it's like the Russian Special Forces. It doesn't matter. Any country, they use the same technique. And basically, they get everybody in the group, right? Basic training. All these new guys, they're training. And what will they do? If they see one guy who's not cooperating, they see somebody, he might be very strong, but he won't help other people. He's selfish. What do? They are really mean to him, right? They make his life hell. They make his life very, very difficult. They yell at him. They constantly make him do extra work. They give him pain because he's being selfish. And they get everybody else to not like him, treat him badly. And why are they doing this? Are they just trying to be mean? No, because they know this is why. The reason they do this in all militaries everywhere is because they know this guy is selfish. He must learn teamwork. He must learn that he is weak alone. Doesn't matter how good he thinks he is, that alone, it's dangerous. Especially in war, people are trying to kill you. There's no Rambo, okay? Rambo's a movie, right? One guy killing a whole army. That's fantasy. That is fantasy. That is not reality. Reality is that in armies, in the military, it's the unit, it's the groups, how they work together, that you will die without the men who are with you, helping you and protecting you. You must have men on on both sides of you and behind you, working with you to protect you, and you protect them. That is, like the basic idea of the military. So that's why they do it. If someone in the training is super selfish, they will make their life very bad until they change. And this is how they teach them you need each other. So they have all different methods of training that require teamwork. So, the military is a system, right? And with these top groups in the military, very good system for teaching this. I think the Navy SEALs are quite interesting. I've watched videos about their training. I've read books about their training. And everything they do is team. It's not individual. They have a few individual things, but most of it is team. So they punish the whole team and they reward the whole team. And they have lots and lots and lots of activities in training that require teamwork that cannot be done alone, right? For example, they have to lift something heavy, like a big log, like a big tree, right? It's too heavy for one person. One person cannot do it. Everybody, the whole group, has to lift this thing up and down, up and down. And if one person's lazy, if they see one person's not really doing it, they yell at them, they punish them, lots of things, right? They're really mean to that person. And this is how they teach them. Everybody has to help each other. They also reward teamwork. If they see one guy helping his teammate, maybe his teammate is tired, so he comes back and he carries him, helps him. They reward that. They encourage that constantly. And in this way, in this very tough and painful way, they train. They have this deep system for training this teamwork and cooperation and punishing selfishness. And of course now, these groups, they're fighters. So they're also being trained to attack and fight and kill enemies. So it's not always cooperation. They don't cooperate with their enemies. But inside of their own group, the Marines, the Navy SEALs, whoever, it's super cooperation and teamwork. Okay. MSA says, we have one lazy worker. It can be very annoying. Yeah, just one. That's all you need is one bad teammate, one lazy person, and the whole team suffers and can suffer a lot. I try to motivate him, but unfortunately his only motivation is the money. And this is why leadership is important. In this situation, the leaders must do something. You have to create a system and leadership that punishes or eliminates bad teamwork. So as we just talked about, like the SEALs and the Marines, they have a system. It's very painful to be selfish in those groups, right? They give a huge amount of pain, okay? Physical pain and mental pain to anyone who is lazy. Anyone's lazy, anyone who's selfish, it's pain. It's punishment. And eventually what happens is those people, they quit or they change. That's all they will accept. In those groups, someone who's lazy, they eventually will quit or they change. Someone who's selfish, bad teamwork, again, they quit because they give them so much pain, they quit or they change. I guess the other option, they would just cut them. They would fire them. If they were really terrible, they would just get rid of them. But usually those guys, if you watch the documentaries, the training, they usually just give them so much pain that they finally quit. Usually they make them quit. They don't have to fire them because they're so unhappy they quit. So it's two things. You have to reward, you need the systems, you need the leadership to reward teamwork, and you need systems and leadership to punish, very badly punish, laziness and bad teamwork. That's what he means, Stephen Covey, the book, that's what he means when he says systems, systems, systems. Nasser says, governments teach us to be gangsters, basically. Not even that. Even gangsters have a group. Gangsters have a group that work together, right? The mafia. They're super tight and close, but it's more just individual criminals, right? They're teaching us to be lonely and selfish. That's an interesting suggestion from Bodhi. AJ, maybe you could do a fairy tale for children in your book club. Something funny. That might be, yeah, think about it. Some kind of old, traditional story. That might be nice. Not a bad suggestion. Okay. This is a nice point from Lisa. To achieve win-win, focus on results. Yeah, that's a good point. Not on the methods, on problems, not people. Yeah. Stay focused on the results, but also have a method of, again, you got to punish the bad teammates. This is just required. You have to do it. You've got to punish the bad teammates and reward the good ones. You've got to reward teamwork and punish laziness and selfishness. Very important. You've got to do that. Okay, now this is an interesting question from Lisa again. Can the spirit of win-win survive in an environment of competition? Well, that's what I've been talking about. Yeah, you have to have win-win inside your team. But with competition, no, you don't have it. You don't. Not with competitors. Now, you can do it with outsiders if you're allies. For example, in business. Maybe you have business and you want to make a deal with another business. You make a deal. They're not part of your group, this other business. They're not part of your group, but you could think of them as allies, kind of like friends, right? They're not trying to beat you and destroy you. You decide, well, let's cooperate. We can work together. It's not like being on the same team, but you can make a deal, win-win. Another example of this would be trade between countries, right? Trading, economies. Let's say Japan and America. Japan and America can make a deal. They're allies, they're friendly countries, and they can make a trade deal that's win-win, hopefully. The Japanese economy will benefit, and the American economy will benefit. That's win-win. If you have win-lose, then only one benefits and the other one loses. We have that too in trade, unfortunately. On the other hand, in war, there's no win-win, right? You're not gonna if a country is bombing you and attacking you and shooting you, there's no win-win. You have to destroy them. You have to beat them. One side will win, the other will lose. So it depends on the situation. You have to decide, you have to understand the other group. Are you fighting them or are you maybe working with them? That decides your strategy, win-win or something else. So in war, do you want win-win against the enemy? No, of course not. Okay, Maxim says, Stephen Covey's book is interesting but a bit complicated. Yeah. Be interesting to do a book like one of Dale Carnegie's books, How to Start Worrying. It is a good book. I agree with you. And you're right. The reason Covey's book is a little complicated because I mentioned before, he was a business guy and doing big business. So he would talk to these big companies. He was a consultant. So a lot of the language in the book, the English in the book, is this kind of corporate, right, big company English. I guess that would be my one criticism of the book, and the one thing I don't like about it is the style of the language, the style of the English. Even some of his stories, his examples from big companies, I don't really like so much. It kind of removes the heart from it or something. So I understand what you're saying. It's a little bit. He also was a professor. He would teach business at universities. So there's a little bit of that academic style of writing. Not too bad, not too much, but a little. So those two things, that's why, if you feel it's complicated, that's why. Because the ideas are super simple. This is why I don't like academic writing. It's why I don't like a lot of business writing, because usually their ideas are super simple, but they're using too complicated language, over-complicated language. But when you really, like this chapter, the ideas are very simple. You can see I can tell you the ideas in a very, very simple way. Probably would need about 3 pages if I wrote it, all right? Instead, he fills, 20 pages. I don't know. But yeah, certainly it is a real criticism of the book. But, I just try to ignore those kinds of things because the actual ideas, they're simple, but there are a lot of good, powerful, useful ideas in there. The style is a little bit complex, a little too much for me, but let's just focus on the ideas because they are good. Here's Carol. Courage and consideration are both essential to win-win or no deal. Yeah. Consideration is to listen to the other person's point of view and understand it. Right. We'll talk about this more next week. Courage means you say no deal and that you feel that a satisfying agreement for both sides can't be reached. No deal can be disappointing. That's why we have to focus on action, not results. Right. All those things are good points that you need courage, right? It means you're not a victim. You're not a wimp. You're not weak. But you do need consideration with your teammates too. So you will strongly say your position. You say what you want. You're not weak. But at the same time, you try to understand your teammates and you care about them. And you show that. You need both. And also sometimes, right, this thing about no deal, sometimes it feels disappointing, right? You're disappointing. You can't reach a deal. It's true, but it's still fine. Like the movie example, everybody in the family, you can't agree about a movie, so you do something else. Maybe it feels disappointing. Oh, I wanted to watch a movie, but it's better than fighting. It's better than one person in the family being really unhappy. It's the team is more important than a little disappointment. You can find another solution. Just do something else. Team is first. Team first. Ariana with a quick question about my book. I'm from Iran. It's not possible to buy your book because Iran has some problems for pay. Do you have ideas? Yes. My book is translated into Farsi, Persian, and that version is free. Just get on Twitter and ask me. I'll put the link on Twitter to the free translation. Again from Bodhisattva. Nice name. I've been listening to your courses for 2 years, and it is impossible to describe how much progress I have made. You're unbelievable. Everything you say is confirmed. Well, thank you. That's great. I always like to hear success stories. This is another one about English. I like it from Vlad. Vlad says, record yourself 10 minutes a day talking in English. Save the videos. Watch yourself improving. It'll help for motivation. Trust me. That's a great idea. Because sometimes you don't realize you're improving, right? Because you're listening, you're doing everything. 6 months later, you have improved so much. But what do? We're human. You focus on your mistakes. Oh, but I still have this problem. Oh, but sometimes I still make mistakes. Oh, I'm not perfect yet. And you focus on everything wrong. You don't realize how much you have improved. You don't realize. Why? You compare yourself to me. You compare yourself to a native speaker, an American, a British person, and you say, oh, I'm still so far. It's human. We all do this. So this is great advice from Vlad. After 6 months, go back and look at your old video from 6 months ago, you speaking English. And then look at one from now, from today. And then compare. And you'll say, oh my God, wow, I was really bad before. I'm so much better now. He's right. This will give you a great jump in motivation. You'll feel great. This works. I'm doing great. So good. I like that. That's a good piece of advice. Okay. Alexander Marusic. How can I create win-win in my circle of influence at my work if I'm just a young engineer? Now that is a good question. It depends, really, honestly. If you have a good system, meaning your company or your team is basically good, right? They want some win-win. They want cooperation. They're basically good. The leader, the boss, or the manager, whoever, or leaders are pretty good, right? At least they have good character. Then you can influence, even as a junior member, as a lower member. Again, the Navy SEALs, they have an idea. Every man is a leader. So they have, of course, it's military, so they have officers, lieutenant, commander, they have rank, but they also have this mentality, this idea, everyone on the team is a leader. You've got to lead. Everybody can lead in some way. Depends on the situation, right? Everybody's different on the team. Everyone has a different strong point. So in some situations, even the lowest guy becomes the leader because he's the best one for that situation, and he has to step up and become a leader in that situation, even if he's not an officer. It doesn't matter. Every man is a leader. That's a great mindset for leadership. So you can talk about teamwork. You can talk about these ideas to everyone on your team. You can discuss win-win. You can try to do it yourself. And in this way, you become a leader, even though you're junior. Now, on the other hand, of course, if your situation's bad, if the people do not have good trust in your group, if there's not good character, then you might not be able to do it, right? If the whole system, if the whole group is negative and not good, low character, low trust, probably as a junior person in the team, you can't. That's just the truth. Sometimes you have to leave. Sometimes you need to go to a different team, right? People do this in sports, right? We know this with professionals. Sometimes you just realize this team sucks, right? This team's not good. It's not healthy. The coach is not good. The players are not, they don't have trust. They don't care. The whole organization is bad. So you have to just find another team, find a better team. Sometimes we have to do that. Okay, we're almost finished. Okay, here's one last one, and then we're going to go. Zuzlina Manakova. I see clearly in relationships and friendships, they are so selfish. Yeah. They know the truth, they know the value, and say it all the time, but they only pretend. But if hard time hits or comes, or some difficulties, they leave. They leave these attitudes and turn them away. Right. That's an excellent point, because it shows that it's not just about talking. We say in English, talk is cheap. I'm sure many languages have this idiom, talk is cheap, or something like that. Talk is cheap. Anybody can talk. Anybody can say, yay, team, win-win, cooperation. I mentioned again about American football, right? The championship, and this one team is very, very hot. They're the best, the Patriots. Now, they might lose this time, but overall, over many years, they're clearly the best team. But here's the thing. Every team, I guarantee, I promise you, every team in American football, the NFL, every team talks about teamwork. They all talk about it. Every coach on every team talks about it. Every player on every team talks about it. They all know they're supposed to say, teamwork, yes, oh. Talk is cheap. How do you know if it's real? You know it's real when the situation gets tough. You know from actions. You know from difficulty. You know from problems. You know from challenges. That's when people cooperate or they don't. That's when you know, is someone lazy or not? Not when they talk. Same in business, in your company, right? If you have a team, you have a big project, everybody needs to work. Oh no, we have to work extra. It's very tough, it's hard. That's when you know. That's when people become lazy, right? That's when you see, this guy, he's lazy. He's leaving early, he's not helping. This other guy, he's helping everybody, working really hard. Super teamwork. That's when you see the truth. And unfortunately, it can be painful sometimes in life, but you also see this in family and friends. Everybody, of course, says, oh, of course, friendship, it's so important, blah, 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 right? When you're just having fun and going to a bar or parties or just hanging out and everything's great, everybody's a good friend then. Everybody talks about friendship and the importance of loyalty then. But when things are tough, when things are difficult, when there are big problems, big challenges, that's when you know, who are the real friends, who's not. Now, again, I think we can learn from the military from this. This is why in the military, in their training, it's painful. It's not easy. The military guys, right? The SEALs, the Marines, the really tough soldiers, they can't just talk about it. It's not talk. They have to do it, right? They make them do all these horrible things. They're in the cold. They're in the heat. Push-ups, pull-ups, all these painful, difficult training exercises. Constantly, every day. They're pushed. They suffer. They have to show teamwork, not talk about it. They got to show it constantly, all the time. It's tested, this teamwork, all the time. And again, it's rewarded and selfishness is punished. So I would recommend to you, of course, you're not going to do military training with your friends, but with your friendships, you need to test them. And what I mean is you need to face difficult challenges together. Don't just always with your friends do easy things. Do something difficult. It could be something like maybe you enter some group competition together with them. It might be a sport. It might be, those obstacle races. Sometimes they have team events. It might be some project. I don't know. But do some difficult team activity or activities with your group of friends. Even something like going camping. Hiking and camping. Go out to the wilderness with just your tents and do a long walk together, something really long that's challenging, that's a little difficult. And then you kind of see it'll come out. If someone's really not a good friend, they'll just complain. They won't be helpful. They'll just be a problem the whole time. And then you start to see the truth. Not such a good friend. Then you'll know, if I really have a true problem in my life, if something really difficult happens in my life, probably that person's not going to help. You might even decide to kind of cut them as a friend. So I think it's important with friendships. It's not just about laughing all the time and having fun. Do tough things together with your friends. Now, a small example from me was my friend Joe and I. We did the Camino de Santiago together. You guys many of you have heard this story a lot. But it's a 30-day walk in Spain, up some mountains, and there's some difficult parts. It's not like the military, it's not Navy SEALs, but it's challenging. It's a little difficult. Traveling, you have to work together to decide, where to stay, what to do, when to stop, when to keep going. Many days we're very tired and muscles hurt, and there are lots and lots and lots of different challenges and difficulties on that trip. Now, luckily, Joe and I are real friends. He's a real friend. And so we worked together. We had some disagreements. I don't know if we had really any big arguments. Not really. But we had some disagreements sometimes. And we had some challenges and problems. But we worked together. Sometimes we did no deal. Like, for example, when we did a no deal about rooms, sharing a room. In the beginning of the trip, we would stay together, same room, same hotel room, same guest house. But we had a small problem, and he snores, meaning when he sleeps, he would. So he had this, when he was sleeping, very loud. And the second problem is, for me, I wake up easily when I sleep, right? So if there's little noises, I wake up very easily. So it was a problem. We had a problem. We wanted to cooperate. We wanted to share rooms together. It's cheaper, right? And also just, it's kind of fun doing it together. But the problem was that he could not stop snoring. He cannot control that. He's loud. And I could not control waking up easily. So it was going to be win-lose. If we stayed in the same room, I would lose. I would get no sleep. Every night, bad sleep. And it was happening. I was getting really in a bad mood all the time because not enough sleep. So we decided, okay, we have this, for this part, we have to do, no deal. We need separate. We're going to have to stay in separate rooms. We're going to have to get different rooms. Joe was happy to stay with, in dorms and other groups, but I'm a light sleeper, so I wanted my own little room, even something small. So we did. We said, okay, look, for this one, no deal. We'll have to just do different rooms. It was fine, no problem. We solved the problem. We continued on. And we faced all kinds of, many days we're tired. So that tested, was enough of a test. So our friendship became stronger after that, even with the challenges and the problems and the difficulties. Overall, at the end of the trip, now, a few years later, we are better friends, closer friends because of that. Now, on the other hand, farther back when I was younger, I had people, I thought they were friends, and I had some difficult time in my life, or there were some challenges, and the opposite happened. I realized, man, they did not want to help. They disappeared, like what the comment just was. And I realized they're not good friends. They're not helpful. If during difficult times they become lazy, they disappear. So I'm not friends with them anymore. So it's a good way to test friendships. I think even in families, of course, with a family, with your children, you're not going to get rid of them. But what you can do with your families is that Do things with your family that are a little challenging, that are difficult, so that and create systems in your family and with your children. So life is not always easy. Don't make everything easy for your children all the time. Then they become quite selfish. It's easy to be selfish if it's always easy. So go camping with your children. Do a trip with your children. Do difficult projects where everyone has to work together. Do some things that are a little bit difficult and uncomfortable for you and for your children. And they're, if they start to complain, that's the time that a good opportunity to start to teach your children about teamwork. Like those military units. They learn teamwork from working together against problems, working together in difficult times. That's how they create the teamwork in the military. Not easy. Easy doesn't create it. It's the difficult, tough times when everybody comes together to work hard together. That's what can help create it. So when you have problems, it's an opportunity. In fact, it's such a good opportunity. Sometimes you want to create problems. You want to create difficulty for your team. You create it yourself because it will help your team get stronger. Again, we see it in sports, the same thing with different teams, football, American football teams, soccer teams, anytime that their practice, right, before the season. Many times the practice is very painful and tough and difficult. Number one, they're training them to be tougher, stronger individually, but they're also teaching them to work together, to overcome problems together. Don't be selfish. So, yeah. All right, I think that is the end. I'm getting hungry. I need to go eat. I hope you are doing well. I hope you're having a good day. As always, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed our show. We'll be back again next week. I will be back with the audio podcast. Be sure to get my audio podcast, Effortless English Podcast, on iTunes, Podcast Addict, any podcast app. Get it. They're free. Search for Effortless English Podcast, AJ Hogue. Subscribe. Then you'll get those free audios. I do 3, 4, 5 every week. Not just video. I only do 1 video per week, but I do many audios. So get that audio podcast. Alrighty then. Time to go. Lots of love to you. Thank you to all of you joining me live. As always, great points, great questions, great discussion. Join my VIP program. You have to commit to my VIP program. Train your English. Speak English fluently. Speak English powerfully. Speak English confidently. Think in English. Speak English effortlessly. Commit to my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com. Go now and commit at effortlessenglishclub.com. effortlessenglishclub.com.